Are you planning a trip to California and have no idea where to start? So whether it be what airlines you need to choose,
which hotels to book,
and which theme parks you want to go to,
this video's got you covered. We're finally making the video that you have all asked us to make.
So since coming back from California, we've had tons of requests come through for people wanting to know how we booked it.
Did we do it as a package? Did we do it DIY? How did we do it?
And we're going to tell you that we didn't book it for anyone. We do the Kershaw way.
DIY.
Yes, we always do stuff DIY. We find it much cheaper. We like to get into the nitty gritty.
Yeah, we've done package holidays in the past and it has always worked out more expensive than doing it separately.
So what we're going to do is we're going to start from the very, very top and we're going to walk through how we planned our adventures to California.
So first things first, flights. How are you going to get out there?
Yeah, that's always the thing we start with, to be honest. We have a quick look to make sure that we can go, that the prices for the flights are relatively cheap. And as soon as we've done that, we can then start to do the fun bit, which is to book what we're doing and where we're going and all that type of stuff.
So we have a rough idea of how many days we're going to want to be out there. So that we have a start date and an end date, and then we just kind of move it about. We use Skyscanner, we use Google Flights, we find the cheapest price, and then we go directly to the airline's website.
But directly, just because it's a lot easier for comeback if you ever need to cancel or change it or anything like that.
Yeah, we don't like taking risks with the big purchases that are the flights.
We don't like a middleman, shall we say.
No.
So we had a quick look from Manchester to LAX, which is the airport that we fly into for Los Angeles.
Nothing direct.
Not
one.
Zip. So we're like, right, okay, where else can we fly from? Heathrow. So
that was the next closest, wasn't it, for us to go?
Yeah, so we'll talk a little bit more about the kind of trip down to Heathrow and what we did later on in the video. But what we need to do is have a look at airlines. And there are tons of airlines that fly from Heathrow to LAX.
Now we have a Virgin Atlantic credit card that we use like a debit card to earn points and reward upgrades. We knew that we had companion reward upgrade vouchers that we wanted to use. Because it is quite a long flight, we were like, if we can, let's upgrade to premium economy. So we just got a little bit more space. So we knew we were going Virgin this time.
Yes, we decided to go with Virgin Atlantic. It's our favourite airline. And like Anne says, we've got the little credit card that helps us with the points and the miles and all that type of stuff. A few things to mention that Angie just said in terms of the credit card. So Virgin Atlantic is the credit card that we use. You can also collect Avios through British Airways. That helps you with stuff like that. And there's other airlines kind of rewards that you can get involved in. But for us, we pay a yearly subscription for a credit card.
£160.
Yeah, and that gives us basically money back every single time we spend on our credit card.
We use it as a debit card, pay it off monthly. We never ever use it as a credit card, leaving it in credit because it's a ridiculous APR on it. It's not good. It's like nearly 60%. So if you're going to get it, make sure you're using it like a debit card.
Yes, and if you're not very good with credit cards, it's not it's definitely not something you need to have a look into.
No, but if you know you're going to spend over a certain amount of pounds per year, it does give you the upgrade or reward companion flight, so you can choose whether you're going to use it as a companion voucher or an upgrade voucher.
Yeah. Another good thing with Virgin Atlantic as well is if you shop at Tesco, you can take your club card points and you can then convert them into flying club miles, which goes on the Virgin account. So that's something that we do as well to help build up the points to get flights like this.
And anything that I buy online, I check through Shops Away, which is their like shopping online site. So we get extra points per pound as well as the points per pound that we earn for using the credit card. So
there you go. You now know how to get the points, boost the points, and then use the points to get cheaper flights.
Yeah.
Dead straightforward, right?
Yeah. So, it is. Once you know how to do it, it is quite an easy way of getting cheaper flights or cheap upgrades.
It's helped us massively for not just California, but for like Orlando and other places like that.
Yeah, the last 3 times we've been to Orlando, we have only paid £600 for all 3 of us because of points.
Yeah.
Because we accrued so many over, not being able to go anywhere.
Yeah, yeah, that's it, during lockdown.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's the flights over and done with. We've got that taken care of. We know we're going with Virgin Atlantic, we're going at Easter, we know roughly what the cost is. Now we get to the fun part. Where is it you're going to go?
Everywhere. We're going everywhere.
So what we like to do now is we're a bit geeky. We like to get the laptop out. We load up a custom Google map.
Yeah, we pin every single place we think we might like to go.
Yep.
To see where it is in relation to each other so that we can then work out, is it feasible to get to all the locations? Yeah,
it helps out with like attractions, hotels, restaurants, just anything that you can put in. And it's just really good to kind of get a visual idea to see like, okay, what's close by. You put something in that you think you want, that you've seen on like Instagram or something like that, and it tells you it's miles away, and you're like, right, scrap that.
Cotton candy place.
I know, that did look good.
It looked so good. It was really far out.
There's a picture of the cotton candy. How cool is that?
We didn't manage to get there though. Next time.
Anyway, we digress. So we were looking at it and like, right, where do we want to go? So we're thinking like, do we want to go beaches? You've got Santa Monica Pier. You've got the Hollywood Walk of Fame. You've got Warner Brothers,
The Hollywood
Disneyland. Yep. The Universal Studios, Knott's Berry Farm.
Legoland, SeaWorld.
Yeah, we just chucked it all
Hundreds
in.
of places.
Chucked it all in and we're like, right, where does it all land on the map so we can get a rough idea? And what we established is that there's basically 3 key points within LA that we needed to plan around.
Yeah, and some of it we just knew wasn't going to work this trip.
No, so like Legoland, SeaWorld.
They were just a little bit far south for us to be able to have enough time to go do them this time.
Yeah, exactly, because we were restricted to that 2-week window that we had.
Yeah.
So basically it left us with North California, basically where all the movie stuff is. So like Walk of Fame, Hollywood Sign, Warner Brothers Studios.
All Disney Studios.
All that was like in North California. So we're like, right, that's like kind of one part of the holiday.
Yeah.
And then we had a look at, and so what was it? South California. So that's basically Anaheim. So Knott's Berry Farm was there. Disneyland was there. And then where LAX was, so yeah, we didn't mention that. We put the airport in Central California, was Santa Monica Pier. So we had these 3 areas and we knew that we had to kind of plan around them.
So then we had to decide how many days do we actually want in each of these places? Do we want extra days in theme parks? Do we want exploring days? Do we want days off? How many days in each place?
So obviously, us being us, we're like, let's start with theme parks.
Yeah, we built the trip around the theme parks. We'll be perfectly honest. Yeah. We were going out there to do Universal.
So we had a quick look at Universal Studios' website, and then we also had a look at attractiontickets.com to see what the differences were. And basically, we landed on 2 options. So the first one,
go with the Universal website and do a 1-day ticket with Express Pass.
Yep.
Or go for attractiontickets.com and do the buy a day, get a day free ticket.
So that's basically, you purchase 1 day, and the second day you have to.
It was within 7 days.
7 days
was of the first day.
Yeah.
You had to have a timed, like a dated ticket.
So we had a look at it and we're like, right, what do we want to do at Universal? So Super Nintendo World was probably top of the list, wasn't it?
Yeah, and that was the reasoning behind looking at the Express Pass, was that guaranteed us access into Super Nintendo World.
Yep. So there's a lot of stuff that's there that you can get in Orlando that we weren't too fussed about. Mm-hmm. We just wanted to do the stuff that wasn't at Orlando. So the likes of Secret Life of Pets,
Jurassic World.
Yeah, Waterworld Show, that type of stuff. So it was like, okay, so we
Kung Fu Panda.
I was wondering what you were doing then, yeah. Kung Fu Panda.
Oh, we loved that one.
Yeah. So we're like, right, we'll have a look at it. And it actually worked out cheaper to do the buy a day, get a day free.
By a long way.
Because the express tickets for Universal Studios Hollywood is like double the price of admission.
Yeah, it would have come, I think, to £800 for the 3 of us to do a 1-day ticket plus express. And we were like, that's just for 1 day. It is not justifiable at all.
No, definitely not. So we're like, right, we'll do 2 days there. And then we also found out that they did an early entry to Super Nintendo, so you didn't have to do a time ticket.
Yeah, so we got those directly through the app.
Yes.
The Universal app.
Actually, we didn't mention this. Super Nintendo World is a timed entry.
So it's online reservations. You have to get a virtual queue to get into the land.
Yeah.
And they are very strict, or they were when we went.
Yeah.
They were very strict on not being 5 minutes early even for your timed entry.
So because they were $25 each for an hour early before basically they opened up to regular guests, and it was like, well, that was kind of like the tipping point when it was like, well, we can definitely get into the land. Yeah. Even if we spend a full day in there, then we still have an extra day to then go and do all the stuff that we want to do for Universal.
Highly recommend it. If that is available just for the low crowds in Super Nintendo World.
Yeah.
So worth
that first hour, the difference in that first hour compared to the rest of the day.
I feel like we have footage of the crowd entering.
Yeah. So the stampede started now.
And that was probably the best $75 plus tax that we spent on the trip.
Yeah.
I would say.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. So with that, we know 2 days in Universal, that's added to the itinerary. Then we need to go to the next part, Disneyland. And we just basically was like, what's the most amount of time that we can spend in Disneyland?
Well, unfortunately, when we went, I don't know if it's unfortunately, they didn't have annual passes, because I think we possibly would have done it and just spent the whole time there. We got the maximum they do is a 5-day ticket.
Yeah, so 1 to 5 days, and then you can either have a hopper or a no hopper option.
So again, we looked at Disney and we looked at attractiontickets.com.
Yep.
Disney, you can only add Genie Plus if you're booking a hotel package. And at the time of us buying tickets and wanting to book our park reservations, we didn't have accommodation booked, so we could only get the park hopper option
Yep.
with no Genie Plus, whereas attractiontickets.com, we could get the Genie Plus still added, and I think they still do that option as of today, of filming this video. Don't be alarmed when you see the price of the 5-day tickets. They do come in at about the same as a 14-day Walt Disney World ticket. And that price was £1,368 for the 3 of us, which I think is a tiny bit more for Disney World, but that's 14 days, so it isn't a cheap place to visit, Disneyland. However, do it.
It's so good. I mean, you've seen, if you've watched the vlogs already, if you haven't, you need to go and watch them. That's just a magical place. I'd pay it again. So now we have Universal and Disneyland penciled in, and we know exactly how many days we want for each.
Now we need to figure out where do they go in the schedule. How many days do we want before we go to the parks? How many days after? Do we want to just do theme park after theme park?
After theme park.
What do we want? So we knew the flight was going to get in super late, and we were going to be absolutely shattered when it landed. Like 8-hour time difference.
Yeah,
we weren't landing till
like
8 p.m.
It was late.
It was late. It was like 8 or 9 o'clock at night that we were landing. With the 8-hour time difference, we knew there was no way we were driving to Universal that night.
Not only that, I do not do well with long jet lag. I think I'm all right with Orlando, but as soon as it goes to like the West Coast, that's when it gets a bit
You struggle
sketchy.
with the jet lag, don't you?
So
we just decided, let's stay at the airport in one of the airport hotels, and then we'll figure out our plan after that from that next day. And we initially said, let's go straight up and do Universal. But then we decided, because we were going to be travelling from the airport, that was going to eat into theme park time.
Yep.
So that wasn't a good plan.
Not only that, if I was going to be sick, because that's generally what happens on the first day, I didn't want to have it where it was eating into the time in the theme park. So it was like, right, well, let's add an extra day in now.
Yeah.
So we've got
3 day almost.
Travel day, 3 day, but we can do other stuff. Then we can start with the
2
theme parks.
days, yeah. So then we have this 3 day. What do we do on our 3 day? Are we going to go sightseeing? Are we going to go to the beach? So we settled on a plan of let's go to Santa Monica, because it's kind of on the way up to Universal.
Yep.
It would work. We can go to Santa Monica, and then we can go up and we can stay at Universal, have our 2 days in Universal, and then we have another day free to go ahead and do like Hollywood Walk of Fame, go hike up to the sign.
All the touristy stuff, basically. And then we can then head down to Disneyland and then do Disneyland and then finish it off, head back to the airport, and away we go, back home.
And then my dad, who lives out there, said, you can't leave your bags in the car at Santa Monica.
That is a bad idea.
That's a really bad idea. You don't want to go to Hollywood Walk of Fame with Ollie. It's not as good as it used to be. I wouldn't recommend it. And we were like, oh, it's my dad. Like, he lives there. Let's kind of listen to him. And
then we got some other people who said to us, no, it's definitely not a good idea.
Yeah, they said they'd been to the Hollywood Walk of Fame like a week before we'd got there, and they were like, they felt really uncomfortable with the camera.
By the way, this was a week before we were going.
Literally a week before that, we had all this plan set that these were the ways we were... Obviously, the hotels were booked at this point, but nothing on those because it was sightseeing.
Yeah.
So we went into panic mode a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I think it would be fine for most people, but with the amount of camera equipment Gaz carries around, and they're saying to us like...
And we have Ollie.
And locals are telling our friends, hey, put your camera away, you're going to get robbed. We were like, okay.
I got a lot of camera equipment.
Yeah, let's not take the risk this time.
Yeah. So what we ended up doing is we ended up doing airport, 3 day, Universal, and then when we had that extra day where we planted the touristy stuff, we then substituted that out for Knott's Berry Farm.
Yeah, we added a day at Knott's Berry, which we really wanted to do, and we weren't going to be able to squeeze in.
And you know what? I'm so happy we did it as well. Because it was really good. It was so good. And then we went from Knott's Berry over to Disneyland, did the whole thing in Disneyland. We'll talk about that in a bit more detail in a second, and then we went home. One thing to mention as well, because I'm guessing a lot of people are asking, like, why didn't we do Warner Brothers Studios tour?
So Ollie doesn't know any of the programs that would have been in there, and we thought he might have got bored and made it just a bit of a more challenging day if he was bored.
It was like, what, Big Bang Theory, Friends, that type of stuff. Yes.
Like, we probably would have loved it.
Yeah.
But I just think it would have maybe been a bit boring for him, some of it, because he has no clue about them.
Yeah, and we know he loves theme parks, so it just made sense for us to change it to go to Knott's Berry.
Loves theme parks, that's an understatement.
He loves theme parks.
So now we've figured out what we want to do and how many days we want to do it for. Next up, how do we get to each place?
Yeah, how do we get around? So we were toying with the idea of maybe getting some Ubers and shuttles, and then we had a look at like the map, obviously, that we've made on Google, and it was like, right, okay, what's the distance from each thing? And I think if I remember rightly, it was 18 miles away from the airport to Universal, and around 35 miles away to Disneyland.
Yeah, something like that.
It was around that. So we put it into like taxi fare calculators, Uber calculators, and I think I remember, again, this is rough off the top of my head, so I think it was $60 plus, obviously depending on traffic, because you know what LA traffic's like, to go to Universal, and $80 plus to be able to go to Disneyland.
From Universal or from the airport?
From the airport. So I was kind of looking just from the airport. So, and as you've seen on the map, Universal's all the way at the top, Disney's all the way at the bottom, so you've also got that one to take into consideration.
Yeah.
So it was working out, even just for like the main trips, around about $300 anyway.
So we knew there was quite a few places that we wanted to go aside from the airport to Universal to Disney. And the cost was mounting up, wasn't it, with the Ubers? So we're like, I think it's just going to be easier to get a higher car.
Yeah, we want to go to Walmart. You know, we want to go to Walmart, we want to go up to Burbank, we want to go up to the Griffith Observatory.
All of which you can obviously do.
Observatory. Anyway.
All of which you can obviously do with an Uber, but like all of those mount up.
Yeah, it keeps going up.
Yeah.
So we had a look on rentalcars.com, see if we could find any good deals in terms of cars. We'll just have a look at it, around about $300, and then we're like, what other costs are involved with a car? And oh my God, there are costs involved with getting a car.
The parking in LA is expensive.
Insane.
Expensive.
Insane. So we already had an idea roughly in terms of the hotels that we're looking to stay at Universal and Disney. We had a quick look, and they were averaging around $35 to $40 plus tax per day.
And it didn't matter how, it wasn't like a per night charge. I would said per night, but it wasn't a per night charge.
No, it was per day.
It was, and it didn't matter how long you were in the car park that day.
Nope.
Even if you left at the crack of dawn, you would get charged if it was gone midnight.
Yeah, so we had a look at it, and it was like, okay, what do we do? But we still decided to go with car hire, didn't we?
Yeah, it still was going to work out cheaper to hire a car for the first part of our trip, for sure.
Yeah. So it's a good point actually, because what we decided was the cost of the car parking at Disney. Well, we don't need that because we're gonna be in the bubble. We want to be immersed inside it. So it was like, actually, we don't need a car for the second half of the trip. We only really need it for the first half. So we had a quick look, didn't we, to see if there was any like places we could drop the car off.
And there was, just down the street.
Yeah, so there's a few different places dotted around Disneyland that if you're wanting to hire a car, you don't have to return it back to LAX, you can drop it off at Disneyland. And for us, that was kind of like the winning combination, wasn't it? It was like, right, well, let's get the car, let's do what we need to do, drive around for the first half of the holiday, and as soon as we get to Disney, get rid of the car, and then we'll just figure out how we can get from Disney back to the airport.
So, like I said, we looked on rentalcars.com, found the cheapest provider, which unfortunately for us was Avis. Now, we've used Avis before.
They were never good.
We didn't have a good experience with them the first time.
We didn't have a good experience with them this time.
No, and we personally won't use them again now because of that. I know lots of people obviously use them, probably don't have as bad of an experience. But they do try and force you to take the extras.
As you can tell, I'm a little bit bitter about this.
Yeah, they
missold.
Lied. Well, they
missold.
lied. It was a fat lie.
So, yeah, right. So, let's talk about driving in LA. So, a lot of people mentioned to us, oh my gosh, LA drivers are really bad. Driving in LA is so much worse than it is in Orlando. Personally, I didn't find that.
No,
I actually found it relatively easy to drive there. I think the drivers were much better than the ones that are in Orlando, and the carpool lane, because there was 3 of us, was fantastic to get us to and from places.
Yeah, we didn't really get caught in the LA traffic. That's a big thing. So the carpool lanes have entries and exits, and you can't cross the double white or double yellow line.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't cross it. There's a massive fine.
Yeah,
we googled it before we crossed it.
Like,
so.
what's that yellow line? And I just googled it whilst we were driving.
Like, oh, don't go in it,
don't cross it. That's a good idea. But yeah, so like driving was relatively fine, but we got to Avis and it was like, oh, do you want the toll pass?
You're going to need it.
And it's partly my fault because I didn't do as much research as I do usually when I go to like Orlando, because like we're all told passed up there and stuff. That's not a problem. But I didn't know, and I was like, do I need it? And I was like, listen, mate, I'm only going to Universal, then we're going down to Knott's, then we're going down to Disney. Do I need it? And he's like, oh, yes,
absolutely.
definitely.
It's going to save you a fortune.
Yeah, and it cost us $60+ for this toll pass, and we didn't even see, never mind go in, a toll.
And we didn't have toll roads turned off on our maps.
Yeah. So here's something for you. If you're planning to do a similar itinerary to us, no, you don't need toll passes.
No, I don't understand how he could say to us, you're going to go through loads of tolls.
Yeah.
For us not to even see one.
Yeah, we complained when we dropped the car off at Disneyland. They gave me a number, I rang it. I got 80% of the money back from the toll pass, but the cost of ringing the premium number actually ended up being similar to the money that I got back, so it was a complete waste of time.
They just wasted $60.
Anyway, never mind. So we ended up going with Avis. We wouldn't go with Avis again. Alamore's always been our favourite if you're interested in.
I think this was the most, apart from like the tickets and actually the theme park planning, this was the most fun part.
Yeah.
Trying to find somewhere cool to stay.
So as Ange mentioned, we had a look around the airport. So we use like Booking.com, Trivago, we use TripAdvisor. And that's just basically just to have a look and see anything that's around that area. We always use TripAdvisor.
Yeah, so like we find the cheapest one on whichever comparison site. We find the cheapest hotel and then check it on TripAdvisor.
Just to make sure it's
and
not bad.
a couple of them are like, hey, don't stay here. They've got bed bugs. So you're like, right, strike them off. We're not staying there.
Yeah, exactly. And then it left us with a few options. We are Hilton Honours members, so it just made sense for us to try and find a Hilton because, which you'll come on to in a few minutes' time, there's a few other Hiltons that we stayed at. So it just made sense to try and build up points within Hilton.
Yeah. And it was an alright hotel.
It was okay.
And we got free breakfast, so that's always good.
Yeah, exactly. We didn't expect that. Our breakfast was pretty good, to be fair. Let's head up to North California. So we already have this kind of bit planned. Where do we want to stay? Now, for us, with hotels, convenience is king, right?
Yeah.
So we wanted to make sure we're closest.
Yeah, maybe slightly hotel snobs. Like
we like our home comforts.
Yeah.
You know, I wouldn't say we're too snobby, but we like our home
we'll
comforts.
stay in something basic.
We like value.
It's just got to be clean. That's like the biggest thing is it's got to be a clean hotel.
We like value for money. We like to make the most out of it. But at the same time, if something doesn't look good on TripAdvisor, we'll go for the more expensive option. I mean, I'm going to completely contradict myself in a minute. We talk about Disneyland, but that's another story. Right. So we had a look at it, and at Universal, we wanted to be as close as we possibly could do, so we didn't have to drive or anything.
We knew we wanted to walk to Universal.
Yeah, and there are two hotels that are literally perched right on the side. With Hollywood, unlike Orlando, they don't have their own hotels.
No.
So Universal have no hotels there. There's only two options, which are the Sheraton and the Hilton.
There are other options, but those are the closest to.
Those are the two that are literally in Universal space.
Yeah.
There's some that are around, but they're in Universal space.
And the Hilton was cheaper. We're Honours members, so it made sense for us to go for the Hilton.
Yes, and what a cracking hotel that is.
Such a nice hotel. I would definitely stay there again.
Yeah, really good hotel.
Really nice hotel.
Brilliantly convenient. Only 6 minutes walk to the front entrance.
Had a Starbucks in it.
Yeah, beds are amazing.
Oh, comfiest beds I've ever slept in.
Parking was $40, but we don't need to worry about that.
Parking was but the parking's like
everywhere.
at any hotel, so it doesn't really matter which one you stay at.
So things with the Universal thing, as we mentioned, we're Hilton Honours members. Now that was a big benefit because we didn't book a theme park room.
No, that was a significant amount of money more.
Yeah, we just wanted the standard room.
We went for the cheap option.
Yeah, but because we're Hilton Honours members, you can check in online. You don't have to go to the front desk. So as we did that at the morning of the day, as soon as you can literally wake up in the morning, we went and we can check. You can check in,
and you can pick your room.
Yeah, so it gives us like a little map, and you can just basically. So we got on Google Maps, and we're like, right, what side of the building is facing Universal Studios? We found out what it was. We scanned through all the different levels.
We started at the highest floor that we could, and then we worked our way down until we found one on that side of the resort. And
then we booked it, and we got a theme park view room for zero price.
Yeah.
So that's a little hack for you. Yeah. It might not work.
No, it's not always. It was the only one available on that side of the hotel.
Yeah.
It was like floor 9,
yeah.
I'm going to say.
Yeah, floor 9. Yeah. So if you want to give that a go, you can do. But you want to guarantee theme park room, pay for the theme park room.
And you're probably going to get a higher floor as well for that because...
Yeah. We were just like a bit...
kind of partially, like you couldn't quite see into it.
I was happy with it.
I loved it.
I was happy with it.
But for not paying, it was like £400 more.
Yeah, like Kershaw top saving tip. I mean... Or you could just pay for it, one of the two.
Yeah.
So that's like North California. So we booked 5 days altogether for that one. That came in at around about $1,500.
Yes.
Yeah, so that was it.
I think it was $1,550, I want to say.
It was around that.
Well, it's
up there, you can see. Look at that. Postcards are sorted us right out with that. So yeah, that was that. We ended up knocking a day off.
And they wouldn't refund us.
And they wouldn't refund us because we
chose the
cheap rate where you couldn't amend it.
Yeah.
So that was our own fault, but we did that because we moved to Knott's, which we'll come on to.
Which we'd only decided a week, and obviously we had our accommodation more than a week before we went.
Yeah, exactly. So we ended up losing a bit of money there. But
we saved a parking day though.
So that's like North California. So that managed to sort us out with going to Hollywood Sign.
Yeah, Lake Hollywood Park. Highly recommend that if you don't want the hike.
Yeah,
It's a good view.
That was good.
Free parking.
We stuck that in the Google map,
which
is available, by the way, in the description down below, because we're nice like that. If you want to have a look at the map, it's all there for you to have a look at.
Everything that we did. Plus probably a few things that we didn't end up doing.
Yeah, exactly. Just all the cool things that we thought, that looks good, let's add it to the map. So that's all North California all sorted. The next thing was to sort out Disneyland.
Disneyland has been on our bucket list for years. I can't even say how many years. Before Ollie was born, we've said we want to go to Disneyland, the OG park. And in our heads, it's always, whenever we've talked about it, we've been staying at the Grand Californian.
Yes.
So that's what we decided that we were going to do. We were only going to have one night there. That changed.
Yeah, and we ended up booking 5 nights there at £650 a night. Now
It is an expensive hotel. There's probably cheaper ways of doing it by doing it through DVC rental.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't recommend doing it this way, if I'm honest with you.
No.
Because is the hotel worth that amount of money?
Subjective.
Yeah.
We wouldn't pay it again, but we're glad that we stayed there at the same time.
Yes. So there are the perks like early entry to the theme park.
But you can get that at the other 2 hotels still.
For Disney hotels, but there are other hotels around the area.
Cheaper.
Yeah. You've also got its own entrance. So literally, we're like, oh, should we fancy having like a midday nap? And you were in bed within 5 minutes of
California Adventure has its own entrance.
Yeah. The pool, the actual fact that it's just the Grand Californian, the way it looks. So like, for us, it was like, there's only one time you can go and do something for the first time.
Yeah. And that was just our dream, was to stay there.
Would we stay there again? As I said, probably not. We'd find a cheaper option, to be honest.
Yeah, unless I could get it with my DVC points.
Yeah.
We booked directly through disneyland.disney.go.com.
Yep. So, yeah, I think we always do that, to be honest, when it comes to booking
When it comes to Disney, I think you've got a bit more flexibility if you need to move anything if you're directly through them.
Yeah. Now, what I will say, though, is when we went to drop the hire car off at Disneyland, we did get to see some of the hotels that were around the area of Disneyland, and I wouldn't have an issue staying at them.
They look nice.
They looked really nice.
There's a ton of nice hotels. Like, we've got loads of people that stay out of Disney, because it's not as much of a bubble. You don't need to be in a Disney hotel to feel like you're part of the bubble. Yeah.
I mean, if you want the early entry and stuff like that, then you have to book at a Disney hotel. But like I say, I think the benefits that you get from it aren't as big as what you would say in Walt Disney World. Would you agree?
Yeah, I'd agree.
So, like I say, we were tinkering around with a few other places to have a look at, but eventually we did settle on the Grand Californian. I'll never financially recover from that. So we've talked to you about North California, and we've also talked to you about Disneyland. And then there's that extra day that we were planning on stay at Universal that we changed plans and we ended up going to Knott's Berry. Now,
there was a super last minute plan.
Yes.
So we literally we didn't look anywhere else. We went straight to Knott's Berry's own site.
Yeah, because we didn't know the area. No. It was only a week before we went. We needed to make a decision. Does Knott's Berry have its own hotel? Yes, it does.
Yes, it does.
And they did a cracking package.
Yeah, so the package that we went for was the hotel for the one night, park tickets for the next day.
Yep.
We got a Boysenberry Fest card. So we got 6 items from the Boysenberry Festival booths.
Yep.
And it included parking.
Yeah, and altogether that came up to $375.
Oh, and it gave us a fast track for one ride that does fast track.
I think that's a bargain, that.
Yeah. And we used the fast track on Ghost Rider, and the queue was like sitting at 2 hours all day.
Yeah. So it was well worth it.
Well worth it.
That is by far the best value for money we got the entire trip.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And don't sleep on Knott's Berry.
No, Knott's Berry is an incredible theme park. The theming is next level.
Yeah.
Like, it's such a good themed park.
Yeah, we loved it, didn't we?
The coasters were fun.
Yeah.
The theming was awesome. The food was pretty cheap in there, actually, for theme park food. Yeah. We were at Mrs. Knott's restaurant, which is like a table service. And that's probably the cheapest meal that we had.
Yeah. So, like, originally, we were planning to sleep on it, so even though we're telling you not to, because we were planning on doing...
I didn't want to, because I remember Knott's from when I was little.
Yeah,
Gaz just did not fancy it.
I didn't fancy it.
At all. He was just like, no, it's not for me. I don't want to do it.
No, but I'm so glad that we ended up changing plans.
Yeah, and Ollie loved it. He loved every second of being there, and he was like, why can we not have another day?
Yeah. So so that was the hotel that we ended up booking.
Yeah.
It's we went for a renovation quite recently.
The rooms were really nice.
So they were quite nice.
Not the comfiest of bed.
No.
It's quite a firm bed.
But
And the hotel itself was like really under construction when we were there.
Yeah.
So there was like no gift shop, no reception, no.
Yeah, see, when we first got there, to be honest, we were a bit like, what have we done?
Yeah, because it was, everything was boarded up. Reception was like, check-in was just a portable little stand.
It was just like a black sheet over some boxes. Like, it was nothing. We're like, what have we done?
But they've had a big refurb.
It was a refurb. So,
yeah. So there's like all new.
Would you stay there again?
Yeah, definitely.
I would 100% stay there again.
And the boysenberry. Oh my gosh.
Boysenberry. Oh, you've seen if you've watched the vlog. And if you haven't watched the vlog, please go and watch that vlog because I really enjoy that.
That was one of my favourite ones, yeah. I did.
Boysenberry.
I did, yeah.
50 odd boysenberries.
Is that what it was in the end?
I think it was around about 50.
It's good
was
fun.
it not? It might have been more. I can't remember.
It was good fun for a day.
Yeah, editing it wasn't. The shuttle to the airport from Disneyland.
Yeah, so do we get an Uber? Do we book a taxi? Do we get a shuttle?
Yeah.
Now, Disneyland's website recommends Camel Shuttle. So we're like, okay, they recommend it. Maybe we should just use that. So we know, like, we're definitely going to get to the airport at the time we need to get to the airport. That was one thing that we were like, we do stress a little bit about being places on time, even though we're the latest people in the world.
Yeah, we stress and then still end up being late.
But the thought of an Uber not turning up, like, it was just too much. Stress.
It makes it sound like, oh my God.
I know, we flap at stupid things.
Yeah.
And we'd rather have had that booked, and we probably paid too much.
Yeah, we did. It was $180, I think it was altogether, so a little bit more than a taxi would be. But the service
was a different level of service.
It was belting. So they texted us 48 hours before to ask us if we wanted to go.
Yep.
And we was like, yep, still needed it. They messaged on the day to say what time they were going to be there to collect us.
And where they were going to be.
Yep. They messaged us when they were there. We met Victor, who was an absolute legend.
Oh, he was such a good guy.
Yep. And he also texted me after about 3 hours, well, like an hour before the flight to make sure that we had met a safe trip.
I know, that was cute.
That was good.
It was great service.
Would 100% recommend Carmel Shuttle.
Yes, it's just expensive.
Yeah. Other things to mention, hotel at Heathrow. We used the Hilton Garden Inn. So that was around about £180.
Yeah, but we had runway view. Like, that was the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, we paid for the runway view. And we wanted something dead convenient, dead quick into the airport. Because we needed to get rid of the car. And we used Heathrow parking, which was absolutely extortionate.
That was Gaz's fault because he didn't book it when I told him to months in advance. Gaz didn't book it.
It's so true.
He waited till the week before we were going, so the price went through the roof.
£162 it was altogether.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, so that's my bad. So, my question to you is, if you were to do it again, what would you do differently?
To make sure that we can go back, I would stay at a cheaper hotel.
Yes, it is. But I don't regret doing it.
No, I don't. But we would, going forward, if we go back, it's going to have to be a cheaper hotel. We cannot warrant that price.
No, this
ever again.
Yeah, I wouldn't use Avis
ever again.
Because they and I wouldn't take the toll pass.
No, don't book it. Don't do it.
No, I definitely wouldn't do that. And I probably would be. I'd book the Heathrow parking earlier.
Yeah. Do it when your wife says next time, eh?
Yeah, book it quickly. But other than that, I'm dead happy with what we did.
Yeah, 100%. Disneyland and California in general is more expensive than Orlando. We're not going to try and lie and say that it's cheap. You can do it cheaper than we did it.
Yeah.
But it's still not a cheap holiday, I don't think.
It's the most expensive holiday that we've ever purchased.
Yeah, safe to say.
Yeah, but it was magical.
I think it was also the best holiday we've ever had.
Yes, I would agree with that. And hopefully this video has helped you out. If we haven't been able to answer a question that you have around the whole planning aspect,
leave it in the comments.
Please leave it in the comments down below.
We'll answer.
And if you found anything useful, please also tell us in the comments below. And I think that's all I have to say. Until next time.
We'll see you on the next adventure.
Catch you later.
Bye.